afternoon, everyone. Distinguished guests, researchers, and colleagues, welcome back. I trust you have enjoyed the luncheon and found the midday break to be a productive interval for networking and informal scholarly exchange. As we cross into the afternoon session of the 18th Multidisciplinary Seminar, we are poised to maintain a higher benchmark of the academic rigor established this morning. Our agenda for this session continues to bridge diverse fields of study, offering critical data and fresh empirical insights into passing contemporary change. To guide us through the next chapter of our scientific discourse, it is my privilege to introduce the leadership team for our third technical team session. Presiding over this afternoon session as our session chairperson is Ato Shumalis Tamru. With his extensive academic background and key eye for methodological integrity, Ato Shumalis will manage the session's progression, regulate the timeline, and moderate the critical dialogue during the subsequent plenary sessions and discussions. Assisting in the essential synthesis of the session, ensuring that all the key findings, recommendations, and audience interventions are meticulously documented is our rapporteur, Ato Fissa Warreda. With another round of compelling research ahead of us, I now invite our chairperson, Ato Shumalis Tamru, to take the chair, outline the session's operational ground rules, and introduce our first afternoon presenters. Thank you, Ato Shumalis Tamru.
Good afternoon. Very good. So in the afternoon session, we'll have from 4 diversified areas. One is from artificial intelligence, the other is from agriculture, the third is from higher education institutions, and the fourth one is actually deals all about development aspects that deals with industrial parks, basically. So we'll have 4 presenters, 4 paper presenters. The first is Dr. Mokondan Taddese from St. Mary's University. He's going to present his research works on regulatory challenges in cross-border higher education in developing countries. A systematic review. So I'll invite.
My presentation is focusing on cross-border higher education. It is highly related with my professional experience. My academic background is a little bit different. So this is the presentation outline. First, I introduce the background and the motivation, how I started this review papers, and the reason why I started or written this review paper. And I will show you the research design. It is focused on systematic literature review. And the major finding, the major core point of this review is 4 thematic areas: quality assurance, governance, internationalization, and commercialization. Lastly, the discussion and policy implication will be presented. Cross-border, to give you some highlights, cross-border higher education, as you look at it, the title, the regulatory challenge of cross-border higher education in developing countries. What is cross-border higher education? Cross-border higher education means is the movement of students, schools, teachers, research projects, and so on, move from one country to the other country to establish university in other country. Let's say St. Mary imported Indira Gandhi National University programs in Ethiopia. So those are totally can be called as cross-border higher education. Currently, this cross-border higher education is increased globally. Mostly it is known as in the Southeast Asia. We can understand that in Singapore, Malaysia, China, highly known by this cross-border higher education. Cross-border higher educations expand internationally because the population increase. The countries have a problem and gaps to meet the demand of the youngsters. So they import international education to the country. Rapid expansion creates regulatory and governance challenge. It's known that when one country establishes a university in other countries, there is a problem of regulatory. Let's say we imported the Indira Gandhi National University program in Ethiopia. We have a big challenge in the regulatory standard of the Ethiopia Training Authority. We should fulfill that standard. The motivation of this study, why this study started? Because the professional experience. I'm working as a dean for the international program in St. Mary University. I've got so many challenges in the program. So what these challenges is experienced in other developing countries. I want to at least check back what other countries experience regarding these challenges. The practical challenge, what I have faced in Ethiopia and what is in other countries. This is the initial point. The literature review, I use systematic literature review, SLR. Systematic literature review has its own scientific process. You know that it can be replicable and it is dependent. The result is very convenient. Now, so lastly, there is a policy recommendation. The problem statement, cross-border higher education expand rapidly across developing countries. Most developing countries from Europe, specifically those Australia and UK, they export their program to United Arab Emirates or Malaysia, Singapore, or Hong Kong, or Vietnam. So those developed countries export their program to other countries. Regulatory challenges are becoming very complex because there is two regulatory conditions that, let's say, the UK university established its international branch office in United Arab Emirates. It requires to fulfill the standard of United Arab Emirates, as well as the standard of UK educational standards will be fulfilled by this university. So there is a regulatory challenge. Existing study provide fragmented evidence. Actually, what I got in the review, there are so many evidence, but it is not consistent what I have got that. So systematic literature review is required or needed. Two research questions have been developed. The first one is what regulatory challenge in the cross-border higher education, and the other is what policy implication or future research direction is required. The methodology I used that systematic literature review approach, as I told you that. I used the PRISMA framework. PRISMA framework is known for systematic literature review. I focused on two databases, Scopus and Web of Science. This is very dependable and popular database. Lastly, I've got 22 peer-reviewed articles. I will show you the process. Initially, there is the key. Based on that key, initially I've got 52 articles from these two databases. Among the two databases, I have got 16 articles duplicated. The same article, one article duplicated on the others. What I've got in Scopus, I've got again the same article in the Way of Times. So I should have removed this article, 16 articles removed. So lastly, after removing, I checked the title and the abstracts, then which article is coincided with the title, with the topic, the challenge with the regulatory. So excluded 14 articles. Finally, I've got 22 articles actually related with my title. This is the PRISMA framework, which shows the picture for you. From Scopus, I've got 27, from Web of Science, 25. You can get the quantitative result of this articles. 16 is duplicated on the left side, and 36 I've got it. Then I check the title in the abstract, those 36 articles. From these 36 articles, 11 articles is excluded because it is not related what I already initiated on the titles. So lastly, I've got 22 articles. 22 articles is eligible, and I read all the full texts. Among these 22 articles, there have got 4 thematic areas. The first one is quality assurance and regulation. The second one, governance and initial management. The third thematic area is internationalization and education hub. And lastly, commercialization and equity. I should run. Thematic one, quality assurance. Quality assurance is remain central, the central regulatory concerns. Accreditation system often operate across different jurisdictions, as I told you. The regulatory capacity is limited in developing countries because most developing countries have not strong regulatory powers. So commercial pressure may weaken the academic standards. When those cross-border university join the other country, may focus on the profit motive or revenue, then the quality standards may be declined. On the thematic area is governance and institutional management. Cross-border higher education operates within dual regulatory environment. As I told you that one university, let's say the UK university, came to Ethiopia and opened a branch office, it should require 2 regulatory. One, the Ethiopia government regulation, the other is the UK government standard should be fulfilled. So dual regulatory is required. Governance requires balancing the local and global as well. Institutional legitimacy depends stakeholder consideration. Leadership capability become strategically important. The time is very short. So on the thematic 3, internationalization and education hub, government use cross-border higher education to support the national competitiveness. Education hub attract universities and talents. Internationalization supports knowledge transfer and national development. Expansion must be balanced with effective regulation. Lastly, commercialization and mobility. Commercialization creates opportunity and risk. It has an opportunity. Profit motive is not actually bad, but it should not be the major core point for that academic institutions. Student mobility creates access and inequality. When the university comes from abroad to in Ethiopia, the Ethiopian government should focus on equity also, because if the foreign university tuition fee is inflated, the chance open for only the rich one, those people who have financially strong. So equitable standard should be kept by the government, should be balanced. Affordable remain major concerns, and cross-border higher education must balance public and private interest. The public good should be kept by the government as well, and the private interest also should be kept. Lastly, the key finding is regulatory challenges are interconnected. The 4 thematic areas are interconnected. Commercialization, regulatory power, and governance are itself is connected. When I read the review articles, I have got that one article focused on governance, the other is focused on commercialization, the others. So there is no one article which focuses on the 4th area. Quality, governance, internationalization influence each other. 3 minutes. Okay, it's very strong. Market forces affect educational outcome. A strong institutional involvement certain. Discussion lastly, there is no universal regulatory model. National priority should be remain central. Education sovereignty should be protected, and regional cooperation can be improved. And the gap which I have got, evidence is concentrated in the Asia context. I have got that in the literature, focus in the area of Asians, in Africa, there is limited articles because I have got more articles in the Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Cambodia, and UK, Turk some. In Africa, South Africa, and Egypt to some extent only. So is limited area in the African context. Regulatory effectiveness is under-explored. Student protection requires more attention. Digital cross-border education is further study. On the article on the digital and online education is not as such touched by this review, these articles, what I have got from those area. Policy implication, I should keep strengthen national regulatory capacity and promote outcome-based quality assurance, build transparent governance system, and align internationalization with developmental goal. Implication for Ethiopia. I think expand international collaboration should be kept and strengthen accreditation and monitoring system and promote inclusive access to international education, balance international competitiveness with local priority. Last one, conclusion. Cross-border higher education creates opportunity and governance challenge. Mostly, this cross-border higher education have an opportunity. It fill the gaps in the country when there is shortage of educational academic institutions. There is also challenges. Some may focus on the profit, on the revenue, or there are also cultural problems, and there are so many problems, but it requires the government more focus on the controlling mechanism. Quality and accountability determine sustainability. Government should strengthen regulatory framework. Regulation should be tailored to the local context. I think, thank you very much. I kept my time.
Thank you, Dr. Mokonnen, for managing your time with all the challenges. I think the issue is, it's a burning issue actually in managing higher education regulatory challenges that we have actually. So thank you. The second person is Eyob Satu. Harnessing artificial intelligence, fostering innovations, research, and student learning outcomes in higher education institutions in Africa. Lessons from Ethiopia. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. As I introduced myself earlier, my name is Eyob. I'm working for Organization for Innovation and Sustainable Development Africa. A little bit different from academic world, but connects the academic knowledge with that of the policy. And I try to address harnessing AI for fostering innovation, research, and learning outcomes in the context of Africa, taking the lesson from Ethiopia. And possibly I will just present highlights based on the foundation that the morning scholars put. And as we all know that African Union has a digital transformation strategy since 2020, and it has also continental artificial intelligence strategy that has been working as part of the Africa's development and prosperity plan. And as we all know, artificial intelligence is an emerging technology, which is, as per se, education and the teaching tool. It is cheap to adapt, affordable, and increase the flexibility to deliver education is the positive side of AI. And it's believed to better prepare learners for lifelong learning. And it has also a very good tenet to ensure gender responsiveness in education. So this research is more focused on integration of artificial intelligence in African higher education institutions, concerning its distinctive potential and adoption in teaching learning system. When we see the existing problems, we know there are many challenges for Africa, and as we know that more than 43% of students globally are learning poor, and basically that's rests in sub-Saharan Africa. More than 87% of children in sub-Saharan Africa are learning poor, and the issue of unemployment for graduate youth is an issue, and the prevalence of recurrent conflict in various African countries should be taken into account. Though AI technological innovation adoption in some African countries, for instance, as is mentioned in the morning session, South Africa is better pacing, and Morocco, Kenya, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Nigeria, there are encouraging pace of AI adoption in teaching learning system. However, basically when we come to the point of research, we have very poor Africa. We are just allocating 1% of our GDP for research, which puts our capacity to run with AI adoption very difficult. And there are also, however, there is a tilting and a shift of teaching and learning process toward this digital tool because of the global changing dimension and the competitive workforce need. When we come to the objective, it's just to inform education policy of African higher education institutions effectively harness AI technology for innovation research and improved learning outcomes. Specifically, is aimed to assess the current state of AI policy adoption in the higher education institution of Africa, explore emerging practices in harnessing AI technology, and examine the policy insights and the strategic pillars in accelerating AI use in African universities. When we see the methodological parts, we have tried to use various research tools that are more of mixed research tools, and a combination of desk-based research reviews and the Prisma, and case studies are also integrated in the research process. And when we see the theoretical and AI models applied, we try to apply the Chinese AI ecological education guidelines, and the design thinking is also integrated within the principle to iterate the proposed guideline, and the various technical aspects that as ChatGTP and the broad technologies and their application is also assessed based on their significance. As we go to the results session, we know that African universities are now actively embedding AI into their curriculum, as Ethiopia is also doing. So this study reveals the ambition of an outpost, basically the infrastructure, governance, and faculty capacity to deliver AI education. With this, the assessment shows that from the various countries' experience, that 4 out of 10 higher education institutions have formal institutional AI policies are in place, and ethical guidelines governing the use of AI in teaching and learning and research, including some administration. Yet, when we see the comparative advantage of the public and the private universities, the private universities are tend to report higher confidence in their readiness to implement and use AI That's mainly reflected with disparities in resources that private higher education institutions have better resources so that they can easily adopt within the system. And here also the strategic planning and investment in AI policy are now very essential to turn this potential into reality. When we see this harnessing AI innovation for education, we know there are recurrent cross-national and regional conflicts. This really requires adaptation of AI technologies and digital tools to easily reach students, otherwise those who can drop out of school because of the conflicts. So this is an important digital remedy to apply within the education system. So when we take the case of Ethiopia, very recently adopted the AI education and girls boarding school by cooperation between telecom company of Ethiopia and the Oromia Education Bureau is a good example that is very instrumental in adaptation of AI tool for education. With that, the current readiness of the government of Ethiopia is that Ethiopian AI institutes now in partnership with UNDP and Addis Ababa University innovation and education facility is placed to better support students within their education system. When we come to the strategic pillars of harnessing AI in African higher education institutions, the first one is putting foundations for a strong policy base is very critical, as we see. And when we see this, the higher education institution must closely work with industry to harness the potential of AI on research and innovation ecosystem. And as we know, Ethiopia's first national AI policy is already endorsed and approved on June, and it positioned the country as an African AI leader. And with that, Ethiopia launched this AI university that's aimed to implement about 1,000 top-tier students to engage in this university, out of which about 100 scholarships to be delivered for other African countries, and with major focus on advanced computing, data mining, machine learning, and robotics are the courses to be delivered. And when we see the fostering innovation and the research on AI, we see here very important higher education institution settings from Ethiopia, Ghana, and South Africa. And these universities are pioneering AI use and basically leading AI curriculum design and industry academia gaps through Teach Hubs. They promote AI UN University Pods that's recently introduced by Addis Ababa University and the Research Pod. The study also by Deloitte and the London School of Public Policy confirmed that investing in 10 smart mobile phones can empower 100 students while contributing to 1.2% of GDP. So it has very high advantage. When we see the learning outcomes of this technology, basically most African countries like Kenya, Rwanda, Ethiopia, Egypt, and South Africa are leading in localized AI integration in education and policy. development and digital infrastructure. And this has also enhanced accessibility to students, better empowering particularly women. And it has also increased engagement and innovation by students engaging in various innovation hubs. And when we see the institutional readiness to lead AI initiatives, we can see that 4 out of 10 universities, higher education institutions, have AI policies. That's still lagging behind that we could have adopted our policy in all African countries. And nearly 62% of AI use is mainly of basic. That we have to advance on deep learning and machine learning. And so when we see the Ethiopian experience demonstrate that importance of government leadership in AI landscape is very critical, that could be taken into account. As part of my conclusive remark, it's very important to know that there is a growing AI landscape in Africa. Yes, I will do. And yes, we have also promotes AI innovation hubs and collaborative research centers. And locating AI hubs within existing technology hubs can further accelerate growth by tapping into established infrastructure and talent pools and entrepreneurs networks. With this, I recommend that just higher education AI policy has to be aligned with, has to align the curriculum content, and AI-driven learning materials should be replicated. And especially intra-African AI research should be strengthened so that this can be easily adopted in various African countries as we compare to developed countries. Investing in AI also is very important, while also we have to be very clear with privacy and maintaining data security while doing all these things. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. The third presenter is determinants of artificial insemination, adoption and its impact on smallholder farmers' income. Hannah Oguma from Ambo University, you're welcome.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank St. Humir University for this chance. And I also would like to thank the coordinators and also the respected audience. So I'm Hannah Duguma from Ambo University with Department of Agricultural Economics. And here I have one of my research, which is entitled as Determinant of Artificial Insemination Adoption and the impact on the smallholder farmers' income in case of Sultan district. So here the outline of the presentation, introduction, methodology, conclusion, and recommendation. So I try to put some of the content because of the time. So here the background of the study. So as we know, Ethiopia is known for a large population in the livestock. So here with a total population of around 70 million cattle, 52 million goats, 42.9 million sheep, and the others, according to Ethiopian Statistical Service. So it indicates that Ethiopia is among the largest population which have higher livestock. So within this, the livestock, as more of the farmers are a dairy farmer in our country, so we should have to focus on dairy technology. So among those dairy technology, AI, or that means the artificial insemination, is one of the dairy technology. So the use of the technology in the livestock sector improves the production, their yield, the productivity, and the lower disease because of it is more modified technology, and the assurance of environmental sustainability and productive. So it is a very good dairy technology sector. The artificial insemination, it's the first generation of reproductive biotechnology, which was feasible in cattle. So it is a process by which sperm collected from the male, processed with stored and artificially introduced into the female reproductive tract for the purpose of consumption. So this adoption of dairy technology, in particularly the artificial insemination, is linked to enhancing milk yield because it increases the milk productivity and the milk yield, and also improve dairy directly affects the income generations because the dairy farmers may sell the milk products, so it is considered as one of the income creation. So various empirical studies have been studied on this topic. The many previous researches are there related to this topic. So I try to show some gaps, like statement of problems. So various studies like Shufarrao, like Taye, Heran, so those listed authors have focused on this related topic by using a different model. So subsistence farmers have not yet been able to benefit fully or partially from the fruit of technology because of different factors. They also studied on what type of factor that hinders farmers not to use fully from this technology. They studied on this on different area of Ethiopia. But when it comes to my study area, especially in the Sulta, and the study area have not been done, or it is very rare. There is one knowledge gap is there. So again, different study in Ethiopia provide empirical evidence that adoption of artificial insemination technology can contribute to rising of income. So here I try to list a little, but much of the researchers have done on this topic, but I list some of the authors. So those research mainly describe the effect of improved dairy technology on the poverty and its challenge of adopting improving dairy technology and its impacts on the food security adoption of that technology in terms of the food security. But adoption of AI technology and its impact on the household income, in one, it's very rare. And in addition, there were a study conducted in the study area, specifically the research which I've done in the Sulta area. But those researchers focused, the study are conducted on milk value chain. And also they study about the improvement of the private artificial insemination service to dairy farmers and the technical efficiency toward this technology. They focused on this area, even though it is on the same study area. So based on the knowledge of the researcher, as far as I gathered the knowledge on this topic, so no peer effect are being made on the adoption of AI and evaluate the program impact on the study area, creating an information gap that should have to be filled to have recommendation or like different implications for the area. So adequate attention has to be lacking in the assessment of its effect on the household income. So for this one, I try to pick the two objectives. So my first objective is factor determining adoption of artificial insemination technology. What type of factor? Demographic, socioeconomic, institutional, different factors are there. And the second one, the impact of adoption of artificial insemination technology on the adopters, specifically for the adopter technology. So it's income on the study area, on the household income. So this is the study area, which is the time when I collected data. Sulta was not a special zone, but it was on the district at that time, Sultan district. So here I have about 4 qabali. At that time there was 24 qabalis, and then I pick about 4 qabali. I don't think so it is visible, but okay. So there are 4 qabalis are here. The Lilo Jabaka, Moyigaju, Chancho Kupa, and where so Malima are the 4 qabalis. So how they be collected? The sampling technique and the sample size determination. So the multi-stage sampling procedure were applied for this sampling size method. So among the 24 qabalis, 15 qabali were selected purposefully because of high potential of dairy technology on that area. And the second stage involved the deliberate selection of the 4 qabalis among the 15 qabali. So in the third stage, farmer in each qabali were classified or stratified under the adopter or non-adopter. So finally, by using Yamana formula, 192 total sample size were. So the variables, there is a dependent variable and then treatment variables. So for the dependent variables, that means for the first objective, for the factors objective, I use the logit model, and the dependent variable is artificial insemination adoption, whether they adopt this technology or not. So have a binary response. And there is different independent variables, or what you call it, explanatory variables. So for the second, for the impact evaluation, I use the PSA model, propensity score matching model. We use this one for impact evaluation. So outcome variables, how this impact can be explained through using these outcome variables like the household income, the dairy farmers, and the livestock income, and then specifically to the milk income. So a data type, source and data collection. So there is a primary and secondary data collection method. So for the primary, I use the household survey, the questionnaire, and the key format interview, the discussion within the key format interview, those who are responsible within these sectors. And the secondary data from journals, books, published and unpublished materials. So for a method of data analysis, I use the econometric analysis. So to address the objective one, which is a logit model, and the second one, propensity score matching. So the logit model will explain each variable, how these variables affect the dependent variables, and the PSM will evaluate the average treatment effect. After they adopt this technology, what type of impact it shows this impact evaluation. So model diagnosis test. So before making regressions, we should have to focus on these results. So this is a guideline before we make a regression, or we should have to check whether there is no problem of multicollinearity, heterozygosity, whether the model fits. We should have to check this one. So there is no problem of that. So I will go to the result and discussion. The logistic regression for artificial insemination technology adoption. So as I said before, there is independent variables, which is adoption of artificial inseminations. So there are different independent variables, age, sex, education, like mobile, those are independent variables of the data from dairy farmers. So here our age, here the star, the age, the education, the adult equivalent, mobile, and total livestock units, input access, and again the credit and distance from artificial insemination centers have been affecting significantly the adoption of artificial insemination. So slightly, I will interpret this one. So the age the age of household found to influence the probability of adoption of AI technology negatively and significantly at 5% level of significance. So the results show that the probability of adoption of artificial insemination technology decreased by 0.1 as age increased by 1 year. Because the farmers are getting old, they may be difficult to be familiar with the new technologies as compared to the younger farmers. And the education level of the household influence the probability of adoption of AI positively and significantly at 1%. So the more the farmers are more educated, at least it helps them to gather new technology, to understand the new coming technology. So it may help us. Even their attitude perception will also increase. And the total livestock unit, it is about the total livestock they have. So here also it is a positive implications. So as the farmers have high or many number of livestock, the probability to adopt the technology will increase by 1% or affect significantly at 1% level. So the input access also another positively and significantly influence the probability of decision to adopt AI at 1%. So having a mobile phone is also significantly affect the farmers. The adult equivalent is about the family size. It's also significantly affect at 10%. So access to credit also encourage the dairy farmers, and also distance from AI center, it also affects, but in negative way, because at the distance from AI center increase, the farmer will be discouraged to participate in this technology. So this is the result of property score matching. There is a difference in income, annual milk income, annual livestock income, and annual household income. There is a difference in number of, the average bird they get in Ethiopian bird. So the treated and the control. Treated means those who adopted the technology, and the control. So there is a significant difference between them. So generally, this paper assessed the determinants of the factors and the impact. So the models are used, the logit and pacing. So shall I go to the recommendation? So based on the result of significant variables, education, so as education have a positive impact, better to give the dairy farmers the chance they have to get the educations, and the young household head, because as the farmers are aged more, they may discourage, so it focused to young household head. The large family is one source, labor source, and also the amount of cattle. So the farmer who have higher or the large number of cattle are more encouraged to be participated in dairy technology. So having credit access, the mobile is also have positive implications, and also the distance. So as the greater distance to receive this technology, so it is better to establish AI center to the, thank you.
Now, the fourth presenter is Abdi Tazarra Wayesa from Awash Bank. Industrial park developments induced displacement in Ethiopia, the case of Eastern Industrial Zone. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. As it is said, I'm Abdi Tazarra. Previously, I had been teaching in Bulera University, and currently I'm working as an attorney at Awash Bank Share Company. Having said this, let me directly go to the presentation of the paper, which is titled as Industrial Parks Development Induced Displacement in Ethiopia, the case of Eastern Industry Zone. These are the outlines of my presentation, which commences from the background and ends with recommendation. Let me directly go to the content of the presentation. The first one is introduction. Ethiopia have been using unutilized natural resource existence, large population size, and different incentive packages as the means for attracting more investments and economic growth. This is one of the approach which is taken by Ethiopia in the recent decades. And in her industrial policy, Ethiopia encouraged industrialization via agricultural-led development industrialization framework by trusting it as a prime driver for the sustainable economic growth and transformation. On the other side, or on the other facet of this purpose or plan, it was found that a massive construction of industrial parks on millions of hectares of land creates arbitrary displacement by hindering farmers' land access as well as tenure security. That means, on the one hand, when we support as well as when we materialize industrialization, more specifically industrial parks development, we are going to what? We are going to affect the right to land access as well as control over the land of the farmers, unless otherwise it considers or unless otherwise it is indulged with the human rights principles as well as protection of other related rights of the farmers. Eastern Industry Zone, established in Dukam district, was born out of the above attitude and reasoned for a number of householders' relocation. Thus, industrialization, which is not aligned with the legal, planned and justified relocation of the community, creates forced displacement and hence violation of human rights. This is all about the background of the paper. And when we go to the statement of problem of this paper by basing on the above background, we can simply summarize that if there is industrialization which is not mainstreamed, which is not indulged with the human rights principles protections, more specifically with the right to land of the farmers, we are going to what? We are going to violate the very human rights of the farmers in general, and more specifically the right to be protected from forced or arbitrary displacement of the farmers who are going to live or who are going to provide their own land holding rights with the land or with the surface of land for the establishment of industrial parks. This is all about the statement of problem of the paper. And when we go to the objectives of the study, as a general objective, the paper needs to assess the Eastern Industry Zone development consideration for the inalienable rights to be protected against arbitrary displacement of the surrounding community, which is located in Dukam district. And based on this general background, the paper has its own specific objectives as assessing the initiation capacity of community to chase their own human right in general and the right to be relocated. And the second objective of the paper is the protection extended by the surrounding to the surrounding community by the stakeholders, more specifically by the governmental organ which took part in the process of materializing the establishment of Eastern Industry Zone. And the third one is to evaluate the extent to which surrounding community are integrated with or marginalized by this industrial development. Based on this, we do have the scope of the study. Geographically, it is limited to the Dukam district, as I have said elsewhere. And regarding the subject matter, it is concerned with the right to be protected against arbitrary or forced displacement. Based on this, when we see the research methodology of this paper, regarding the research type, it used the hybrid of doctrinal as well as non-doctrinal legal research, which is named in the legal research methodology socio-legal research type. And the study area is Dukam district. source of the data were both primary and secondary sources of data. Regarding data collections method, semi-structured interview plus focus group discussions and personal observation of the research, as well as literature review were made. Target population is peoples displaced by formation as well as expansion of Eastern Industry Zone. And regarding sampling technique, I've used the data saturation point methods through which 68 research participants had addressed throughout the accrual or collection of the data for this paper. Regarding sample size, the sample of this paper or participants of this paper were categorized as farmers displaced by the Eastern Industry Zone plus the Eastern Industry Zone officials and Dukam Warada Land User and Administration Bureau officials. These are the research participants which were categorized into three. And the last point of research methodology is data analysis methods. And doing so, I've used descriptive data analysis method for the triangulation as well as for the depiction of the data accrued from the research participants. Regarding the literature review, the first point, or regarding the human rights principles friendly of industrialization, that means, and regarding the mainstreaming the human rights principles, including their right to be protected from arbitrary displacement. There are several studies conducted by different international organizations as well as scholars, which are portrayed on this slide. And the second point is regarding the industrial parks development induced displacement, which were conducted by the scholars whose name is enshrined under the second line of this table. And the third one is pertinent legal instruments, international as well as national legal instruments dealing with the rules, principles, and the norms enshrined under domestic as well as international legal instruments such as UDHR, ICCPR, ICEE, SCR, and so on. When we go to the conceptual framework of the paper, we can simply depict or portray the points under study with 3 points. The first one is development of industrial parks, and the second one is forced displacement of the community. That means development of industrial parks, which is not considering the human rights principles, can cause or result into forced displacement of the surrounding community, and forced displacement of the surrounding community may result to violation of right to be protected against forced displacement as well as other human rights violations. Based on this, we have come with a summary of the findings of the paper, which is dependent on the responses accrued from the 3 categories we have raised above. Regarding farmers-based responses regarding the expropriation process, awareness of farmers, almost around 91% of the farmers were ignorant of the expropriation processes, which is incorporated under the legal instruments dealing with the same issue as well as regarding its scientific aspects. And second one is as farmers' perceptions towards the district's expropriation fairness. Most of the farmers valued that the fairness which was shown during the valuation as well as providing compensation and relocation for the surrounding community were not sound or were not good during the relocation of the surrounding communities from where the Eastern Industry Zone was established. And third one is as whether Duke Warada Land Use and Administration Bureau had gave the with sufficient right to relocation is concerned, all farmers faced this question, they gave negative feedbacks regarding this question. They said or they indicated that they were not given with the sufficient protection as well as sufficient information regarding their relocation. And the fourth point is as the link between farmers' right to be protected against forced displacement on the one hand and farmers' human rights concerned on the other hand. All of them have valued that the very human rights at the whole on the one hand and their right to be protected against forced displacement has a strong relationship with each other, they said. While describing this issue, they have raised in an informal ways, since they did not acquaint themselves with the scientific method of depicting or showing their own human rights, as well as the right under consideration, which is right to be relocated in a justified, legal, and planned way. And let me go to the second point of the finding, which is responses of Dukan Warada Land Use and Demonstration Bureau officials. Regarding the sufficiency of the protection provided by the district for the farmers' right to be protected against forced displacement, in the process, they raised two-fold responses. Around 39% of the respondents from this office showed that they did their own at best in protecting the right to be relocated of the surrounding communities during the process, while the remaining respondents, or around 61%, argued that they were not sure with the existence of sufficient protection for the surrounding communities' human rights and general and their right to be legally relocated. Regarding the district's expropriation process fairness, here around 74% of the respondents told that adequate diligence was given in taking farmers from the place of this industrialization to their new location in a good manner, or with at most due diligence. And the former group is, or the group is which is arguing for this, justifies their standing by addressing that they adhere to the standards to the extent of its practicability. And when we go to the third category of the research participants, which is response of Eastern Industrial Zone officials regarding the tie between the government and the surrounding farmers, as well as their own industrial park, they have raised that there is good relationship with the government of Ethiopia and their own home state, that is Chinese state, as well as in a fragile way, they have addressed that they are trying to link their own industrial park with the surrounding communities. This is the general point is regarding their responses. And when we conclude the overall contents of the paper, it is it evaluates or it depicted that industrialization should be indulged or should inculcate with the very principles of human rights in general, as well as with the right to be protected against arbitrary or forced displacement of the one at whose expense that industrialization place or surface will be materialized, or the surface on which this activity is going to be done. If not, it will be the cause for what? For the violation of the very human rights in general, as well as for the right to access to, as well as control over land of the farmers, and hence causes the displacement of surrounding communities. The very point of this paper. Thank you very much.
Now it's time for question and answering session. So audiences, you may raise any comments, suggestions, questions for making things very clear and understandable.
My comment is on Prisma diagram flow, okay? Doctor mentioned the data extraction or Prisma data flow. For example, when you go down, there is a paper or studies excluded, okay? But with no the reason why they are excluded, okay? Adding this may improve your paper and increase its clarity and replicability, and even it may upgrade to the publication, okay? I highly recommend Dr. Makonan to add those why excluded, okay, with reason, okay? Not only the numbers, but with the reason. This is the only comment. And the other one is the internationalization of the curriculum or higher education. This is the issue I am struggling with. And how do you consider the issue of language in our context, okay? For example, when you think of student mobility and the staff mobility, to go and teach in UK and to go and teach in some Indian and Asian countries. So I was waiting to listen about the language, but I missed this issue. And again, regarding the commercialization, if you include the postmodernism theory and social justice theory, because they are against each other, your paper may benefit from including these two theories and make your paper more analytical, okay? Then the other one is the second presenter simply mentions the opportunity of artificial intelligence, but I miss the challenges like, you know, ethics and the authorship and some issue of ethical usage of artificial intelligence in this era, and I hope you will improve. And for the last two presenters, my only comment is, with respect, the way you prepared your PowerPoint, even it makes you yourself confused, okay, not only us. So try to put main points, and that will make you effective even during the presentation, time saving, and the clarity of your points for the audience. And my staff, Hannah, I think this is the first experience for her, and this is a good place to learn how to just bring one's scholarly research to the conference. And thank you all, and thank you very much.
My first question goes to Dr. Makonan regarding the challenges on the regulatory bodies and regulations. I wondered that you have about 40 plus universities in our country who are applied by the same regulatory body with the same regulation, taking students and producing graduates with a similar regulation and the same regulatory body, but at the end with a totally different output. I'm saying universities take students from after the grade 12. After grade 12, almost similar students will go through all over the universities in our country. They learn, they stay there 4 or 5 years, at the end they graduate, and throughout this process, we do have the same regulation from MOE or ETA, we do have the same regulatory body. But still, in terms of the quality of the graduates, universities are completely different. I know that there are a lot of factors there affecting the quality of education and the quality of graduates, But that regulation and the regulatory body is one factor. I am just sometimes thinking that this quality variation, while having the same regulatory body and the same regulation, might have caused because the regulatory body is mainly playing a controlling role rather than being an agent for improving the education system of the universities. I'm saying regulatory bodies focus on controlling the universities with a predetermined checklist by just ticking X and right whether they fulfill that regulation or not. That will not assist the universities in improving the quality of education and the quality of their products at the end. So don't you think that this might have played one role as a factor for our variation of our difference in graduates' quality? That's one thing. The second one, for the second presenter, artificial intelligence and classroom learning related issue. Well, we know that this AI thing has become into our lives, whether we like it or not, and we have to be good users of it. Otherwise, we'll be out of the system. And we are trying to cope with that, and our students are also trying to use it or maximizing they are trying to use the maximum potential of the AI. They receive PowerPoints from their lecturers, from their teachers. They give it to a best AI tool. That AI tool produce an audio, a video explanation, probably a graphics also, and gives them a better explanation to the students than the actual teacher, really. This means when students use AI effectively, they are becoming better learners, and they are preferring even the AI tool better than their actual physical teacher. We know its role in the research, the AI role, I mean, its role in the different areas of social life. So don't you think that the availability of broad content in the AI and in the technology might totally replace our traditional classroom system in the coming 10 years? This is one question for the second presenter. For AI, artificial insemination, that's a very interesting. I really liked your presentation. The artificial insemination presentation, I mean. One short question to you is really this technology widespread among our farmers? Is it known? Are there really sufficient veterinaries who support our farmers so that they can use this technology widely? This is just one short question to you. And for the last one, shall I add one more? The last one was, what was the topic? Industrial parks, yeah. You are, I think, a legal person because you told us that you are working in Awash Bank as a legal person. So you know the legal conditions of the Ethiopian law system better than I do. I'm just asking: is the Ethiopian legal system protecting such displaced farmers? Is there a very specific that protects the displaced farmers in this industrialization process?
My question goes for the researcher who presented on the implication of AI on quality of education in higher learning institutions. The question is, to what extent have you assessed a whole body of knowledge that's increasingly being generated by neuroscientists. Neuroscientists, study about how the physical brain operates and, where are the critical perspectives from the vantage point of neuroscientists in terms of how AI supports brain function, how AI supports critical thinking skills development, inferential thinking skills development, quantitative analysis. So where are the critical perspectives and what is the implication of these perspectives for quality of higher education vis-a-vis the students' use of AI? Thank you.
I think some of them are very important questions and some are comments. Let me start from my colleague. I think you raised a very important question related with Prisma. You said you are right. The reason why not mentioned, why you're not excluded the articles. I think due to the limitation of the time, I think you know that the boss allotted the time only 15 minutes, which is not really convenient to present all the issue on the PowerPoint. But on the article, it is mentioned that there is inclusion and exclusion criteria already put on the table because it's required also the system by itself require exclusion and inclusion criteria. The other is when I start reviewing, when I collect the whole paper, first I read the topic and the abstract. I excluded for the duplicated part. I already mentioned that. Duplicated. I used two databases, Scopus and Way of Times. One article can be get from the Scopus and as well as on the Way of Science. So you can remove one of them. The other also, which is not related with the topic, I already mentioned that. The other exclusion and inclusion criteria already on the table is mentioned, language, peer-reviewed article only focused, conference paper and the books not included. All these are mentioned on the articles. The other is, it is a comment, commercialization, and it is important comment to use the theory on the paper. I can develop it. Thank you very much for that. The other question, I think, internationalization, how you can consider the language barrier. I think it is a very important question. Mostly those international universities used English language. For instance, let's mention the UK university are joined to the United Arab Emirates. They will go to also in Egypt and Libya. They teach through English language because the English language is international language. Mostly, for instance, in China, Hong Kong, there are so many foreign universities join in China. They offer the courses in English language. It does not affect, but the main problem is related with the instructors. In China, to get the instructor who speaks English fluently, like UK instructors, it's difficult to get that instructor in China. So mostly there is some problem in selecting or recruiting instructors regarding the language barriers. The other is my colleague Zacho has raised a very important question, which is related with the ETA, this accreditation. Most universities in Ethiopia use the same regulation, you are right. But the output is different. On my policy recommendation, I think due to time, I skip it and read it fastly. It said that the ETA, the regulatory body, should evaluate outcome-based evaluation because ETA mostly used came to the university and check the resource, the facility, and the instructor profile, and so on. But they never check the graduate list, their performance in the market, and so on. So I already put in the comment that outcome-based evaluation is required in Ethiopia. You are right, I practically can tell you that I was working mostly in my life, I worked as a manager in human resource area. So when we recruit employees, we know that so many candidates came to our office and they submit their CV. And we know that the list of university they graduated. Lastly, when we put them for examination, we understand that commonly we can say that these guys came from such university. We can judge. You are right that because the outcome tell us those who come X university and Y university. I don't want to mention the university. It's not important because consistently the students who come particularly from one university have got the highest mark when we put them on the examination for employment. This shows that the standard that university used internally is different from the others. I think this is your major questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your nice comments and critical suggestion. And I think I have one question from the audience, and I will answer it. So I think it's about the widespread. Is that really enough, or the dairy technology is widespread for the farmers? So it is still not widespread, or there is a limitations. That means it's not enough still. Not only about the perception of the farmers only. Even the service who provide the institutions are not all enough for the farmers. And the attitude, the awareness of the farmers toward this technology, about accepting of this technology, because there is another method, the natural meeting is also there. So sometimes in some rural area, or in terms of cultural attitude, some dairy farmers will not want to accept this dairy technology. So there is a work behind those institutions should have to focus first on the perception, the attitude toward this dairy technology, and they should also have to work to widespread this dairy technology. So we don't only complain on the dairy farmers why they not adopt this technology. We should have to also focus on those organizations. So as we know, many challenges or limitations are there as we are not developed and developing country. So on this sector also, there is many limitations. So as my research or the finding, there is a finding, so there is some recommendations that should be to the concerned body. So the institution also should have to work to widespread this technology. That's what I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the very interesting comments from Jamal. And I will reflect on if AI is going to replace the classroom next 10 years. It's a very critical question, but I'm really not to speculate on that because we have to also know the landscape of adverse technologies which are still emerging similar to that of AI. So is AI really going to stay 10 years before the other technology catches up? Technologies like virtual reality are coming up. So that's the first thing that we have to consider. Secondly, I believe that this AI shall not fully cover the human aspect of teaching and learning process. As we know, AI follows the universal culture, but especially when we think of our diverse cultures, it's very critical to sustain classroom teachers so that students can adopt the knowledge adopted from AI into their culture is very critical. So I don't think so that it will really replace the classroom and the whole teachers as well. Concerning the neuroscientists and how AI is supporting critical thinking and analytics, yeah, it's a very timely question. When we see the whole landscape of artificial intelligence, it is coming quite across all the sectors, including the financial, agriculture, and all the growth-related sectors are addressed through this technology. But the point in question, when we take this issue into higher education institutions, we have to be very cautious that its advantage outweighs its disadvantage. In the research we conducted with NORAD, and that's presented in Jimma University, shows that yes, in some aspects, AI can reduce the critical thinking of students because it feeds all the necessary data and the information is the issue that really we should note in the process of using AI. But still, the other side of arguments puts that AI is all about information because it feeds students with data, with various relevant information. But it's because of the conscious engagement of students that they can innovate, and the research on it makes the use of AI for analytics is more essential than it gives a superficial base for students' innovation. Yeah, thank you.
Thanking you for your constructive comments as well as significant questions. Let me go with the questions. The only question raised regarding the paper, which is all about either there is legal system or provisions, legal rule in Ethiopia regarding the protections of farmer from industrial parks development induced displacement. Regarding this question, the answer is yes, of course. There is legal system as well as legal provisions in order to protect the farmers living around or on the area we are going to establish the industrial parks, as well as we are going to expand for the same purpose. These legal rules are enshrined under international as well as domestic legal instruments. Among the international legal instruments, the first is United Nations Guiding Principles. Principle number 6, sub-principle 3, which states that large-scale industrialization should consider the very human rights principles as well as the right to be protected against forced displacement of the surrounding communities. And the second point, the second international legal instrument is Geneva Convention number 4. Under Article 49, the same point is described by this legal instrument. And third one is African Charter of Human and People's Rights, Article 14, and the other is our domestic constitution or Ifriri constitution of the 1995 via Article 9 sub 4 as well as Article 13 sub 2, which aimed at incorporating these international legal instruments into the domestic legal instruments or into the domestic legal system. And by its own provisions, this constitution has the same thing is under Article 14, under Article 40, 4 sub-article 4 as well as sub-article 5 regarding the peasants as well as pastoralists regarding their right to land in general. And the other is Article 42 sub 2 of the Constitution itself, which says there should be sound compensation as well as relocation of the communities leave their own land for the industrialization or else for other public interests. And the other is expropriation laws or expropriation regime. And the last and very important is decisions or judgments of the Federal Supreme Court's cassation bench decisions. And based on this, we can say, as per the findings of the paper, there are several legal instruments ratified by Ethiopia as well as legal provisions in Ethiopia's legal instruments in order to protect the same right. However, its implementation is unsound is the answer. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate 4 of the presenters, Hannah, Abdi, Eyob, and Dr. Mokonon. Thank you very much for sharing your research findings, your knowledges and experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our final presenters for their excellent exposition, which brings our afternoon presentation to a successful close. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in one round of applause for our chairperson in We have reached the culmination of truly remarkable day. Across multiple sessions, this 18th multidisciplinary seminar has served as a vibrant incubator for cross-disciplinary scholarship, policy dialogue, and rigorous empirical debates. We have unpacked pressing challenges, proposed novel solutions, and strengthened our collective academic network. To officially bring this landmark symposium to a close, deliver the final thematic synthesis, and offer our closing remarks, and finally give certificates to our presenters and participants, it is my absolute privilege to call upon Dr. Miskanao Solomon, Vice President for Research, Community Engagement and Communication at St. Mary's University. Dr. Miskanao, leadership continues to be profoundly fundamental in expanding our institution's research footprint and deepening our engagement with the wider community. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Miskanao to the podium for closing remarks. Thank you so much.
Dear esteemed scholars and practitioners, SMU community, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As we draw this seminar to a close, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all of you for your patience, insightful contributions, and active participation in today's lively professional deliberations. As has been clearly indicated by the Executive Vice President this morning, St. Mary's University organizes 4 research conferences every year. Today's gathering is the second of these events. It has happened after our highly successful 24th International Conference on Higher Education in Africa, held under the theme, Equitable Partnerships in Higher Education, Advancing Strategies for Sustainable Development, which was held on April 15 and 16, 2026 at the African Union Commission. This conference attracted academics from all over the world. Looking ahead, our annual Student Research Forum is scheduled to take place exactly a month from today. And this September, we'll host our 40th conference, focusing on open and distance learning. True to its name, and as you have witnessed today, this seminar has been truly unique. It successfully brought scholars and practitioners together in one hall to discuss critical issues in their respective sectors and generate actionable solutions collaboratively. We are incredibly fortunate to have hosted paper presenters who traveled from various parts of Ethiopia. The diversity of the topics addressed has been outstanding, spanning from finance, technology, business, displacement, higher education, innovation, and the role of AI in empowering smallholder farmers. Before I conclude these remarks, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to paper presenters for playing an incredible role in shedding light on your research and sharing your expertise with us today. While that remains significant, there is the seminar participants' engagement is what truly made this interaction lively, meaningful, and impactful. The success of this event is a direct result of your enthusiasm and thoughtful questions and comments. So you too deserve appreciation. Above all, my sincere appreciation goes to the dedicated Research and Knowledge Management Office, led by Ato Matthias Shimelis, Assistant Professor, and the Communication Office, led by Ato Henok Shimelis, whose tireless efforts brought today's seminar to reality. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the SMU executive leadership for providing the necessary resources for this seminar. I'm deeply grateful to the American Corner for the usual support and partnership. Finally, I am sincerely grateful to Dr. Sarawit Handiso, our keynote speaker, for setting the tone for the seminar. Thank you all once again for your time, your energy, and your attention. I wish you a safe and pleasant journey back to your respective destinations and look forward to seeing you at our upcoming conferences. With that remarks, I declare the seminar closed. Thank you.